Hello, welcome to this week's reading vlog and to the first day of Polarthon. It is a week-long readathon hosted by Jade at JD Ray Reads, which is one of my favourites to participate in every year, and I plan to have a much more successful week of reading than I've had previously because I have a set TBR, all of which should be achievable books, but I've got some accountability and some kind of prompt to get through the week in a successful and timely manner. So the first book I will be starting off with is this little beauty. This is The Call of the Wild by Jack London. It's one of the puffin cloth bound classic editions. If I bring it a bit closer you should be able to see there, which have these beautiful patterns on front and back. It is my favourite shade of blue and it's very winter appropriate with the snowy trees and the dog sleds and things, and very representative of the story as well as far as I know. So despite being a children's classic, I've never read this book, which I'm ashamed to admit. It is only very short, so I should be able to get through this one this evening, hopefully. It is only, let me see, 134 pages long, so yeah, that's definitely doable, especially for something which is supposed to be for children. So I know very little of the story, despite the fact that it follows a dog whose name I've forgotten and his adventures across the snowy world of somewhere in North America. I think it's Alaska or Canada. I've seen a film version of this a few years ago, but as I said, I don't really know the story. I can't remember much of the plot apart from the escapades of this dog and the various people that he encounters. So this is going to be the book that fits the prompt of an adventure, because I'm following the explorer's path, Polarthon, and an adventure is the first prompt that I need to read a book for. So hopefully, as I say, we'll get through this one this evening. I am just home from work, it's about 5:10 and I'm just about to put on the Polarthon sprints, which are on Jade's channel this evening, which will hopefully keep me accountable in reading this book this evening, and I will get through a good amount, I hope. So I have lit my Polarthon candle behind me. I have the Goddess candle, which is absolutely gorgeously scented. I absolutely love it, and it's so pretty too. I have my blanket here, and I'm all ready to cozy up and get reading. So without further ado, let's get going. Welcome to Polarthon. Hello, I am just on my way to work, so just a very quick update, but just wanted to let you know I have already successfully completed my first book of Polarthon. I read The Call of the Wild by Jack London last evening while watching Jade's sprints, and I thought this was such a cute book. I've given it a 3 out of 5 stars. As with a lot of children's classics, they're not as intricate plot-wise or as, fleshed out as you might want them to be and as books are these days, but I loved the morality of it and the message it was giving. The idea that everything, no matter how corrupted by humanity and by our world that things get, they can always return to nature, and nature is the one constant and the thing that every animal and every human deserves to be a part of. And I loved that message. That there was a lovely introduction, actually, a foreword to the book, which very much summarised that, and I just thought it was such a lovely book. I think I might have actually shown you the paragraph in B-roll that I really enjoyed, but it was a very cute story. It followed a dog and a group of other dogs, and basically this dog's journey from being domesticated back to being a part of the wild and meeting up with its kindred spirits, the wolves, in the wilds of North America, in the snow, and also his beautiful bond with one particular human being on his journey to become rewilded. So it was a lovely, heartwarming story, kind of sad in parts, as children's classics often are, but on the whole, a lovely book. I'm glad I've now read this. It was very short, so I can now put it back in my little rainbow of children's classics and move on to book 2. So I think the second one I'm going to pick up is going to be Odd and the Frost Giants, because this is another very short one which I think I can probably get read today. I probably won't get to read much tomorrow because I'm going to tennis in the evening, so if I can have another book finished today then I'll feel like I'm on top of things. So this one I'm going to read via an audiobook on Audible. It's only about an hour and a half, I think, so I can definitely fly through this one this evening. And I'm looking forward to getting back to listening to Neil Gaiman's stories again. I like his narration for his own stories. His kind of slightly sarcastic tone of voice really fits with his writing style, so this should be a fun one this evening. So I will let you know a bit later what my thoughts on that one are, but for now, off to work. Hello. It is now Wednesday morning. I'm just about to get ready and head off for work, but as it's actually light this morning, I thought I would give you a quick update to let you know that last evening I finished my second Polarthon book already, 2 books in 2 days. Things are going well. So I listened to the Audible audiobook of Odd and the Frost Giants by Neil Gaiman, narrated by Neil Gaiman himself, which was, as usual, a wonderful experience. He narrates his own books so well. It just works so well being read in his voice because you can really hear his personality that comes through usually in his writing style anyway. It just adds to the experience. It's very, very good. So I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was only a very short story. It was very simplistic in the way it was told. It was most definitely a children's story, but you can get a lot out of it as an adult as well. It's not something that should be read exclusively by children. Nothing should, but, you know, it did read more younger audience in the style that it was told. So, very briefly, the story follows a little boy called Odd back in kind of Viking Nordic times, and he is very much down on his luck. So he's lost his father, he's had an accident that he's injured his leg or his foot, and he's having a horrible time with his family who are remaining, his stepmother I believe it is. So Odd eventually ends up running away, and while he is out in the wilds he encounters 3 animals which he finds can talk. So he meets a bear, a fox and an eagle, and they take him in and he hears them having a conversation and realises they can talk, and they reveal to him that they are actually 3 of the Norse gods. So it is Thor, Loki and Odin, who have been turned into animals as kind of a curse by the frost giants. So obviously there's lots of beats of Nordic mythology in this story, which I really enjoy reading about, so I enjoyed that a lot. And basically Odd has to try and help out these gods turned animals to see if he can turn them back into their ordinary forms and be persuasive to help them in their cause against the frost giants. So obviously a very unlikely story with a little boy having power over an entity that 3 Nordic gods cannot, but there we go. It was great fun though. I really enjoyed it, and just the way that stories like this are told, that children's tales can be just so blunt and to the point, and this is what they wanted to happen, so they did it and made it happen. You know, I love that. It's very refreshing considering how much beating around the bush you get in adult books sometimes and how long it takes them to actually get anything done. So very enjoyable, and another book read. Hello, so it's now Thursday evening. I am not long home from work. It's about 5:30 now. Just got dark, so the lights are going on, the candles are being lit, and all of the coziness will be had this evening. I want to make a bit more progress this evening with A Shiver of Snow and Sky by Lisa Ludek. I started listening to the audiobook last night, though I didn't read very much at all last night. I was at tennis most of the evening, so I only got through a couple of chapters when I was going to bed, but I'm really enjoying what I'm reading so far. It seems like just the ideal book for a polar fantasy readathon. It seems to actually fit all 5 of the prompts as well for Explorer's Path, which is very exciting because then it means I can actually jumble up a little bit more what else I'm going to read. Definitely the 5th book that I get to, if I do get to 5 books, can now be basically anything. It can fit most of the prompts, or well, most of my books fit most of the prompts, so it can fit any prompt that I have left, which gives me a lot more scope, so that's good. I will try and make some more progress with this one this evening. I have no other plans for the next few hours, so I'm just going to have a nice cosy reading night. I will see if there's any sprints on or anything else, maybe some winter ambience that I can watch while I'm listening to this. And I'm thoroughly enjoying this whole readathon so far. just immersing myself in all of the feelings of winter coziness and adventures, and I just love this whole aesthetic, and it's just great fun. I just wish we could have some wintry weather to go along with it. It's just been stormy and horrible and wet out there. It's not been snowy or crisp or any of the atmosphere that I would love it to be in the winter, but never mind, we can't have too much. So I will just content myself with a cozy reading evening instead, and I will carry on with this audiobook. So I will update you maybe a bit later with my thoughts, or maybe I'll just wait until tomorrow when I've hopefully finished it. I don't know how quick this is going to be. I'm not sure if it's going to be the sort of book that I want to sit and just listen to in a couple of sittings and get through the whole thing, or whether I will want to break it up with reading another book physically, in which case I will pick something else up too. So I will let you know, you will see. But definitely for now, going to get on with some reading, and fingers crossed it turns out just as promising as the start has led me to believe. Hello. So it is Friday evening. It's actually fairly late now on Friday, it's about 11 o'clock, but I just wanted to let you know that I have finished another book for Polarthon. So this evening I have been listening to more of the audiobook of A Shiver of Snow and Sky by Lisa Ludek, and I have just managed to complete this one just in time for the end of the week and to start a new book fresh tomorrow morning. I really enjoyed this one. It was a beautiful read. I read it solely on Jade's recommendation. As I said, I'd had this from one of her Polarthon TBR recommendation videos from years ago, and I'd always had it there in the back of my mind as a book that I wanted to read, but kept forgetting about and never have got round to it until now. But I am so glad that I have, because it's exactly what I wanted for Polarthon. It's the perfect book to fit a lot of the prompts, and also just in general vibes of polar fantasy. It was absolutely spot on. I'm giving it a high 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think it was quite the 5-star, but I did thoroughly enjoy my read, and I definitely would like to get hold of a copy so that I can read this again physically in the future. Though I did enjoy it in audiobook form, it was well narrated, but I think I would like the experience of reading it physically too. So, as I said yesterday in yesterday's update, I was about halfway through at that point, so I've read the entire second half today, and I've really enjoyed sitting and reading a large chunk of this book in one go. The second half definitely ramped up the tension. You had a lot more adventure, a lot more stakes, and, you know, quite some difficult descriptions of the action that was going on, and the quest that our main character has gone on, some of the hardships she had to go through, was definitely felt like the stakes were really real and that anything could have happened in the story. And I wasn't sure whether it was going to turn out to be a happy ending or not, but I won't spoil that for you. But it was a satisfactory conclusion, to put it that way. And I just loved the way that this book was written. So we had, mainly it was told from our main character, Osa's perspective, but with a few chapters as well, told in third person, but following her best friend and perhaps more, a boy called Ivar. I'm pronouncing the names as the audiobook did, so they may well be pronounced differently according to the author, I'm not sure. But Osa and Ivar are the way that the narrator said it, so that's what I'm going with. I loved the descriptions in this book. I thought it was a beautiful setting. It was the perfect description of that wintry polar fantasy scene that I was hoping it would be, and all of the references to the stars as well I particularly enjoyed, because I'm a big fan of anything to do with space and the stars and constellations and the northern lights and things like that, so it was really good fun to listen to the descriptions of that. And I can imagine how beautiful this book would be, was it to be illustrated. It would be absolutely stunning. It's one of those that you read and you see playing in your head like a movie. It was really beautiful. But as I say, some very high stakes and some quite dark moments as well. You know, the descriptions of the death and torture from the antagonist characters, some of the monsters and things that they encounter, were quite real and quite significant. So definitely not just a light-hearted, whimsical book. Definitely with some grit in there as well. But it was a good balance, and I really enjoyed the story, as I said. It was a perfect adventure and just a thoroughly good book to have read. So thank you very much, Jade, for the recommendation. Not that you'll be watching this, but I'm very pleased to have finally read this book. And I would like to actually read the other book that I think is a companion novel, also by Lisa Ludek, so maybe I'll pick that one up for next round of Polarthon. We will see. So that's going to be it for reading this evening. I'm now going to bed, but tomorrow I will be sure to film some more and show you the next book which I'm reading, which I think I know what I'm going to pick up tomorrow, and I'm very excited about that one too. So Polarthon is going very well so far. 3 books down, 2 to complete. Hopefully that will be one tomorrow and one on Sunday. we will see. If I only get 4 read, it doesn't matter. I will have at least still fulfilled all of the prompts, but ideally 5 books would be great. And the idea of reading 5 books in a week after the terrible month I've just had is quite something. So I'm feeling very, very successful and proud of myself this week, and absolutely loving Polarthon too. So I will see you again tomorrow. Good night for now. Hello and happy weekend. It is Saturday morning and I literally woke up about 20 minutes ago, so forgive me if my voice sounds a little bit gravelly still, but I just wanted to pull out my camera straight away this morning and just document the fact that I want this to be a very productive day for myself today. And by that I mean this is the first day in a very long time that I actually have absolutely no plans, no expectations, nobody having pulls on my time. I can just spend the day doing exactly what I want to do. And it's such an alien concept at the minute that I'm finding it quite difficult to actually know where to start. So I thought if I decide to film this morning, I will give myself a few pointers or a few, ideas of what things I want to do, and then hopefully I can stick to some of those and have a lovely fun day. So it's, at the moment, as you can probably hear in the background, really, really windy, but I do want to get out at some point and have some kind of walk, do some outdoor exercise, see a bit of nature, because that is always the number one thing that makes me feel better in a day, in a week, whatever it might be. I spend all of my working life indoors, and especially in the winter, hardly get time to go outside and see the sunlight or feel the wind on my face. So going for a walk will be number one on the priority list for today. I would also like to do some proper exercise, so walking is all very well, but I feel like I'd like to actually push myself a little bit more and feel like I'm doing something productive physically. So I think I'm going to go on my exercise bike, which I have at home. I haven't been on this anywhere near as much as I should have done recently. I've owned it for over a year now, and I've probably been on it 3 times in the past couple of months. I'm not using it at all, but it is something I really enjoy, so I think I will try and go fit in a session on that today, and then I do also need to wash my hair, so that's a good incentive. I can't wash my hair until I've been on the bike. I do, of course, want to do plenty of reading today, so we are still in Polarthon. We are on now day 6 of Polarthon, and I have one more book that I definitely want to read during Polarthon, and that is this beautiful little thing, East of the Sun, West of the Moon by Jackie Morris, which I've been saving for the weekend because I want to sit and read it in daylight and really enjoy the beautiful watercolour illustrations at their finest. So that will be something I want to get to this afternoon, and I also want to carry on listening to some sort of audiobook and do a little bit of something creative, so maybe a bit of one of my colouring books, maybe get some knitting or some embroidery out or something like that, and just have a nice calm afternoon, probably doing something creative, listening to a story. I will probably also try and do some baking today, because baking is something else that I really love to do. I like to enjoy sweet treats, as do a lot of people, and I find the act of creating something from scratch and then getting to enjoy it for myself really relaxing and something great fun to do as well. So just a few ideas there. The day will probably end with a lovely relaxing bath as well, with some candles, with some fairy lights lit in my room. It's all very simple pleasures, and it probably sounds like nothing to most people, but these little things in life really mean a lot to me, and I have in the past watched lots of content and heard lots of people speak on the subject of, romanticising your life and making a fuss out of little things because it makes you feel better. And if you make something into a sense of occasion, then it automatically makes you feel like you're achieving more and like you're getting more out of your life, even if it is very simple in other people's eyes. So it's something I do try to do. I don't always manage it throughout the week when I'm feeling very stressed, but on certain occasions it's something I try and focus on, and I think it's just a lovely way of living your life. So I will try and definitely tap into that day and have a lovely time. So without further ado, I'm going to actually get up, go and make a coffee and start the day, I think, reading a little bit of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. I will show you some of this as I'm reading it, I'm sure, because as I said, the illustrations are absolutely stunning and I really have high expectations for this book. It might even be a 5-star, who knows? So fingers crossed it does deliver, and here's to a lovely, relaxing day. Hello, it's now Sunday morning and I just wanted to let you know before I get on with my day that I did indeed manage to finish East of the Sun, West of the Moon yesterday by Jackie Morris. I loved this book so much. I was expecting to really enjoy it. I know the story very well from reading other books that are based on this. I had also read previously a very short version of the original story, but I was really excited for this one and it absolutely delivered. It was absolutely stunning. It surprised me a little bit in that the very beginning the characters are actually in a modern setting, so it talks about, you know, modern streets and sounds and like a city almost. You've got this kind of illustration at the beginning. They're talking about people begging on the streets and just modern day issues, which I really wasn't expecting. I thought this would be in a sort of indeterminate time and place, but just somewhere a little bit more whimsical. But once we get into the bulk of the story and our main character travels away with the white bear, it does become very much more fairy tale feeling. And I didn't mind that it was a modern setting to start with. It, I suppose, makes it more relevant to our modern audience, so it wasn't a problem, just something I wasn't expecting. And similarly, the very ending, I was really shocked by the last kind of page or two of the story. I was not expecting that twist at all. I might be remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure that didn't happen in the original story, and it hasn't happened in many of the adaptations that I've read, so I don't know where that came from, whether that's something Jackie Morris has added into the story or whether that is part of the original story but most people tend to not use it. I don't know. Not to give any spoilers anyway, but there was definitely an extra twist to the end of this book which was not what I predicted. But otherwise I was very familiar with the beats of the story. The way that the winds are portrayed in this one was a little bit different as well to things that I remembered, which I really liked. And just the writing in this is absolutely beautiful. It's very like lyrically written, it's very descriptive, it's all about, you know, the weather and the elements and the things that our main character can see, and just feeling the the sense of a place and the feelings that she's going through how things are described and through what she experiences. So I love that kind of writing. I'm a big fan of whimsical lyrical writing anyway, and especially paired with the gorgeous illustrations, which I know I've shown a lot of B-roll of. I just absolutely love the illustrations in this book. You know, even just tiny little things like this on a page just really adds to it. Or you've got certain sections where you just have like a little block of text surrounded by a big illustration. Watch me not be able to find one now. Here we go. So just very simple pages like this, you probably can't even see. Or the big double page spread illustrations like I've shown you before. I mean, this gorgeous one at the very end. Just look at this. It's just the most stunning book ever. I love watercolours and I love this kind of painting anyway. It's the sort of thing I used to do myself, obviously not to this level, but I can really feel my artistic heart singing at this book, and it was just wonderful. Can you tell how much I loved it by the fact that I'm rambling so much about it? Absolutely loved this one. So glad I managed to fit this story in, and it will be a book I will read again and again, and I need to find a place to display it proudly because I now absolutely love it. So that is 4 books down for Polarthon. I have so far completed The Call of the Wild by Jack London. I've completed Odd and the Frost Giants by Neil Gaiman, A Shiver of Snow and Sky by Lisa Ludek, and now East of the Sun, West of the Moon by Jackie Morris. And I have one more slot to fill for the Polarthon prompts to be complete, and that is a book that fits for polar fantasy. So I've been going through lots of different lists of mine of books that I want to read that have polar influences and some of Jade's old videos and things like that, and I've decided I want to pick up Ember and the Ice Dragon. I had this one on a list ages ago of middle grades that I wanted to get to, and it was also in my polar fantasy recommendations, so I decided to pick this one up. I found it as an ebook on Scribd. I obviously don't own the physical copy, and I didn't want another audiobook, so I found the ebook. It is, I think, 370 or something pages long, so should be achievable being a middle grade. Normally would be a bit of a struggle, especially as I am actually out all afternoon. I have a tennis match, so limited reading time. But I think the Polarthon gang all plan to do sprints again this evening, so hopefully I can tune into those once I get back and just have an evening of reading to get through this book. I'm going to start a few chapters this morning before I actually have to head out. It's 10:10 and I don't need to go out until about midday, so I can definitely make some progress this morning. So I think I will go and make a coffee, cozy up with my blankets and get started with that book. I know it looks really bright, but this is actually my ring light. It's raining outside, it's dreadful weather, so I am playing an indoor match thankfully, but it is the perfect morning for being cozy with blankets and hot drinks and probably some more winter ambience as well. I'm loving watching these. It really sets the tone of my reading. So Ember and the Ice Dragons this morning, and I will check in with you again later. Hello, so it is now Monday morning, Polarthon is over, but I just wanted to quickly check in before work and let you know that I have very successfully completed the entirety of my Polarthon TBR. I've read 5 books this week, which compared to how I've been reading recently is absolutely incredible, and I'm so happy with it. So it's been a very good week, and thank you so much to Jade for all of your efforts in hosting this readathon, because as always it's one of my favourites. I love the polar fantasy theme and it's just allowed me to be really productive, which I absolutely needed to be. So I'm going to leave this vlog here. Thank you very much for watching as always. Give me a like down below if you enjoyed it. Chat to me in the comments about any of the books you read. How did your Polarthon go? And please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more from me. It really means a lot. I will see you very soon in the next video, so goodbye for now.